Today, we're talking with Cascadia Pizza, a wood fired quick service pizza brand that blends world cooking with new world flavors. They run both brick and mortar restaurants and mobile food trailers, all using 100% Italian imported wood fired ovens. Their menu serves everyone without losing sight of three core values: passion for pizza, their people, and their customers. Cascadia is also deeply rooted in the communities, living by pizza never wasted philosophy, donating extra pizzas to food banks, first responders, women's shelters, and hosting free pizza events for children's hospitals and other charities. They've built a brand that is as much about its people as it is about pizza. Christian Buck started Cascadia in 2015 as a part-time wood-fired pizza trailer. We'll hear more about that. In 2019, he teamed up with CEO Calvin and CFO Thomas. They opened up their first brick and mortar. So welcome, gentlemen. I'm excited to have you here today.
Thanks, Laura. We're super excited too.
Thanks for having us.
Good. So yeah, if you guys could just bring in a little bit of the history of what inspired this, how you got together, and how you're building it out to this strong franchise brand.
Yeah. I started the company in 2015 just as like a mobile kind of pizza oven, something similar you would see at like farmers markets. And we'd go to different breweries, different office parks. So it was very part-time for the first couple of years. And then in 2017, I was able to get like a much bigger trailer and kind of go all in pizza. And I knew I wanted to grow the business. I knew I wanted to open a brick and mortar pizzeria. And I think I needed the help to do that. And that's why I linked up with Thomas and Cal. My wife actually grew up with Thomas's family. Thomas first had the pizza actually at my wedding. I catered my own wedding. Don't ask me how I did it. I did.
No clue.
It was crazy. And
What a story.
yeah, Thomas actually sent me a DM on my honeymoon. It's like, hey, I had the pizza at your wedding. It was absolutely incredible. Like, how do you make money doing something like this? I knew when I got that message, I was like, because I knew his family and Thomas, I was like, oh, okay, I think something might be here. And so I want to say about 6 or 7 months later, we finally met
That's
up.
so cool.
And he was like, hey, I'm really interested in kind of joining you here. And then he actually brought his buddy Cal along, and they went to college at Pepperdine together. And so I kind of got a 2-for-1 deal there, which was
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cal and I went to college together, but both were from the Seattle area and ended up back there after college. I was in law school at the time when I went to Christian's wedding and was not happy in law school. Enjoyed the information I was getting, but realized this isn't the career path for me. And I came from an entrepreneurial family and background. And so that was sort of in the blood. And yeah, I sent him a message. I couldn't wait till after they got back from their honeymoon. I said, I got to hear more about this. Yeah, I got to hear more about this pizza. And I went home and I called Cal and I said, hey, this is something you get excited about. Little did I know, his entire family had been in restaurants for generations. So Cal actually is a 5th generation restaurateur. So this trio really came together just perfectly. And so we opened the first brick and mortar January of 2019 in Enumclaw, Washington. It's a small little 300 square foot pizzeria.
very small, wall of windows. It's great.
Yeah. But the rest is really history from there. We've opened 3 more corporate units from there and started franchising in 2023. Have 2 open franchisees right now. Just sold a 3-unit deal in Phoenix area, which actually that's where we're at right now, helping them do some real estate site selection. And we actually have an employee who's going to franchise from us as well in Western Washington.
Have you always enjoyed, I don't know, cooking? I mean, like, how did you start saying, I can make a good pizza?
Pizza is just, I always loved pizza growing up as a kid. And really is just, I had an opportunity to purchase this very inexpensive trailer, and I've always wanted to be entrepreneurial. I was actually very inspired by Thomas's father, who actually I was actually closer with a little bit than he was. He was a very, just really standout individual in the community, in the church. And I just wanted to do my own thing, and just started very part-time, had no experience, kind of just hopped into it. I always say I went to the School of Hard Knocks or YouTube and kind of figured out things along the way.
Yeah.
And the product has definitely changed over the years and hopefully gotten better.
Yeah.
It just started to love, I think, of entrepreneurship is really where it got started, and love of food. And we kind of just went from there.
Was COVID helpful when you guys launched? You must have been very busy.
Yeah, COVID was very helpful.
It's funny, when we launched January of 2019, our 300 square foot pizzeria, there's no seating. It's just a walk-up window. And so people thought we were nuts. Why don't you have seating? I don't get it. It's a small town of about 10,000 people.
And then they thought we were geniuses.
Later, so everyone around us had to close. We really didn't have to change a thing.
Yeah.
And it really helped accelerate our business. And then also we had just purchased our second food truck March 2nd, 2020. So it showed up and then everything shut down. We're like, well, crap, what do we do? And then all of these neighborhood HOAs started calling us probably about a month into the pandemic saying, hey, would you bring your food truck to our neighborhood? And we thought, well, let's try it. We'd never done that before. And it
The
just
HOA's called.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
and so literally we'd show up in these big neighborhoods, people would be lined up in their camping chairs 6 feet apart already before we got there. That was like the highlight of their day.
Yep.
That really helped prove our second market where we opened, it's a town called Maple Valley. That's where we did a lot of food trucking, and we had actually previously thought that, well, maybe it's a saturated market. There was a lot of
Yeah.
pizzerias there, but every neighborhood we were going to, people were saying, "We need you here. We need you here." And we thought, okay, so found a location and opened from there, and that's really at the core of who we are. Is we utilize that food truck model to build business, to prove markets, and really get the branding and marketing out there and get the product out so people can try it and drive that traffic back to the brick and
Yeah. We look at it just like getting paid. We get paid to market. We're a food truck first company is kind of our roots. So
Food truck.
food truck first. And we encourage all our franchisees, go out, build a business, food truck. And what's been really great about that is we've gone on seed markets where it's like, hey, build a business there first. What our franchisee in Idaho did. He was food trucking 6, 8, maybe a year before he opened his stores. He had already built up a great customer base there. And it's also allowed us to figure out, okay, this actually was not a good market to go into. We were going to a place we thought would be an amazing pizzeria, kind of in the greater Seattle area. We food trucked there for 2 months straight on the weekends, found out for whatever reason, it wasn't that great of a spot. So we didn't go invest, $500,000 into a pizzeria, and we pulled it and moved.
yeah. So I like to say it's a business builder and a risk mitigator at the same time.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. And so everybody starts with does everybody, I mean, so far that's the plan. Everybody's going to start with the truck
You
and
don't
then,
have to start with it, but that's what we recommend because
yeah.
you can get a food trailer. We've got an incredible manufacturer out of Portland, Oregon that can crank them out in as little as 60 to 90 days. So our franchisees that are opening in Arizona, they within probably 10 days of signing the franchise agreement, they had put the deposit down on the food trailer and it'll be to them beginning of October. And then they can really hit the ground running with that food truck.
Yep.
And get going. So you've got some cash flow at the beginning as well, and you're marketing to eventually open that brick and mortar, a few months
And
later.
it helps you site select, figure out where you want to be.
Right. So when you run a food truck, I mean, what is the process? How are you finding customers? I don't even know what the regulations are, but whatnot in terms of where you can put one.
Yeah, it
Are
really
you
depends.
staying
Well, yeah, it depends. You typically, yeah, you're mobile. You're going to different places. It depends on the market. A lot of times, you can go to office parks for lunch service, and then go to like
okay?
breweries for dinner. Every community has all kinds of different, fairs, festivals, parades, whether it's a
Yeah.
July or whatever. Those are always really popular. Elementary schools, at like the end of the year, they have their end of the year
Very
PTA
busy.
Yeah.
carnival. That's really popular. We've got like a 2-week stretch in June every year where that's all we're doing is elementary school fairs. So there's all kinds of events in the community that
And then
really
just
need
catering on top of that.
exactly. And then catering, the corporate events and weddings. So we have a very well-defined system for doing corporate events where we can feed over 200 people in an hour. And yeah, it's fast. So wood-fired pizzas, it cooks fast. And so you're really able to get through a lot of people pretty quickly to feed them.
And that's actually really how we got our start. That's why I started doing very early on, was actually catering weddings. Is really how we built the business. And we always feel like when you cater a wedding, you're selling another one. And we've done this kind of word of mouth marketing. Now we're doing a lot more marketing now.
Yeah.
But when people are excited about your product, we call it a dinner and a show, and you just give good customer service. Like, people tell their friends, and that's kind of our franchisee now in Idaho. I think has done 30 weddings this summer
Yeah.
for his first true summer, which is insane and very profitable events.
Pizza at a wedding. I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah, so many people they're tired of your typical like chicken, steak, fish.
Yes.
It's like sometimes made earlier that morning. We do everything fresh on site, so it's fresh. There's not a single demographic out there that doesn't eat pizza. And
Right.
this is a higher quality wood-fired pizza. So we call it dinner and a show. You see us cooking in the live wood-fired oven right there, delivering it, straight from the oven onto the buffet table. And so it's just a really great, fun, interactive experience for a more casual wedding. And it's cost effective as well. We're less than half the cost of what a traditional wedding caterer would be, and a higher quality food product that everyone's going to enjoy.
Do you offer other than pizza on that truck as well, or?
Yeah, so for public paid events, it's just pizza. For catering, we've got a whole catering menu, salads, wings. There's a couple other menu items that we'll add as well for appetizers and whatnot, so we can really be a full service caterer.
So you could be a wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then so that restaurant selection, you start off, do you pace if somebody's starting with the truck, trying to figure out, wait a couple months, see where the draw is, and then start putting in real estate, looking for locations, or how does that go?
You always want to look the whole time, right? Because you never
Okay.
know when the right real estate opportunity is going to come about. But it gives you a little bit more time and flexibility to really be able to find the right location by having that food truck. And,
Mhm.
we typically target spaces about 1,000 to 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Prefer standalone buildings, but standard retail is great too. But we say we like to keep it small to win it all. So I have a small footprint. We're about 80% takeout QSR. We still have dine-in seating available with beer and wine and whatnot as well. So you got a little bit of something for everybody, primarily focused on the takeout business.
And when you're thinking about owners, I mean, I know you're new in the process. Does it help to have food experience? Does it matter if you have food experience? Like what's the owner doing typically in
We,
this?
we can have a really positive attitude. It's like, I mean, that's number one for us.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have our franchisee in Oregon doesn't have any food experience, prior food experience. And so it's just someone that's fired up about the brand, fired up about their community. I think it for us is a big one.
Mhm.
Being hyper involved in the local, high schools and charitable events and you name
Yeah.
it. That's what we're big on. So we could train the pizza. Someone that wants to be in business for themselves, but not by themselves, is someone that we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just add, you don't have to have food experience. And, I think a lot of people shy away from food because they think it's complicated. I'm not a chef or whatever. This is something that's so much simpler than your traditional restaurant. You don't have a traditional service model. It's, a walk up counter. So you don't have full time servers. And it's really a very trainable, scalable product. So we have created systems that really make it simple for folks to be able to train as well. So what we say is, if a high school kid can't do it, we don't have that as part of our
Yeah.
process. So we make it really simple for owners to really be able to understand the key metrics, KPIs in the business, understand how to train people, and it's really just not complicated. We only have about 100 SKUs in inventory. Compare that to a typical restaurant, they have over 1,000, and so we really keep it simple. It's pizza, wings, salad, dessert pizzas. That's it.
Okay. Because I think most people, when I talk to people, they're worried about, just being able to manage those food costs. And not wasting there and losing margin and that.
Right. We have very little food waste. All of our products have long shelf life, very long shelf life. The only thing that is a shorter lifespan is dough, which is very inexpensive, and you're not wasting very much dough at all. So really the only food waste you've got to worry about is produce, which is really inexpensive and not a big deal.
Yeah.
Really low waste. And so the cost of goods and pizza is really inexpensive again compared to a restaurant. So our cost of goods about 24-25%. That's including wood cost as well for your traditional restaurants anywhere from 33 to 36 if it's being so we're pretty lean and mean.
So we talked about owners being, excited or involved in the community, having a good attitude. What are they typically doing, when that business gets up and going in terms of, are they on that food truck or are they just out there networking in their community? How are they building the business?
Yeah, you really can do both. I mean, it depends on the type of person that wants to become a franchise owner. If there's someone that's not maybe a hands-on in the kitchen person, that's fine. We allow the franchisee and a general manager to come to Woodfired University so they can identify someone and bring them to training and have that person, initially run the food truck and then the brick and mortar as well. So really what the franchisee is doing is they're just getting hyper active in their communities. They're shaking hands, kissing babies, they're out marketing and really just driving traffic back to the brick and mortar. And of course, managing, their KPIs, their food costs, their labor cost, making
Yeah.
food ordering, any inventory is, at the appropriate levels and just overall general managerial tasks. But for an executive type model, it's about 15-20 hours a week. So for folks who have a flexible schedule, maybe they're in real estate or something along those lines, certainly they can have other things going on where this doesn't have to be a full 40-hour a week job for as a franchise owner if they've got the right management structure in place.
In terms of building that catering business, is there a target, a goal, kind of what you're hoping in the percentage of revenue that comes from catering? You talked about the one that already has huge success, it seems, with the weddings.
Yeah, the it really is going to depend on the market and it's going to depend on what types of venues and whatnot you have in your territory. But for your standard let's say average franchisee, probably about 20 to 25% is going to come from catering. What's nice about that as well is you're collecting a deposit up front, sometimes a year.
Mhm.
So it's really great, non-refundable deposit. It's really great on the cash flow side as well. But I would say, yeah, about 20 to 25% is that non-retail business, let's say, from the brick and mortar that's on the food truck for catering.
I got to think that's good margin business too, and certainly helps with the word of mouth. And so you talked about are both franchisees that are started? Are they doing it both ways?
Yeah, they're food trucking and have brick and mortars. Yep.
So I mentioned a little bit about the core values. How do they show up kind of daily in the operation of the store? What's your hope about how they show up?
Yeah, just well, I mean, we've built this business on our people. Like that's first and foremost. We are nothing without there's just, there's three of us, right? They're owners. There's a whole team behind us that make
Yeah.
what we do. I think that we've had that we apply those same, theology to our franchisees. Like, put your people first, right? Take care of your people, treat them right, do them fair, and you're going to have a high retention. Just like us, our employee turnover is very, very low, and our franchisees turnover is very, very low. It's
Wow.
to create a really good work environment. And then our customers, right? We're literally nothing on our customers. We like to say, not to steal Chick-fil-A, but like the pizza, Chick-fil-A, right? We want to have great customer service and go above and beyond, because ultimately that's what's going to drive revenue and business back as your customers. And so we try to take care of them. And we have limited interactions. We're QSR, right? So we try to make sure every single touch that we have with that customer is just a positive, upbeat person, to try to get them back for sure. And then
Okay.
it's passion for pizza, right? Like our style pizza is very high quality. Like, you can have
Yeah.
a pizza in a dine-in fashion with wine, but we're doing it in a fast casual setting. And so our pizza is very versatile. It's high quality. We kind of call it like Neapolitan inspired, a little bit of mixing that in New York. And it's just good quality pie. And I think those three things have allowed us to be, I think, where we're at now.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of like upward mobility, if someone comes in, as you're talking about initially high school students that you want to be able to train everything, what's their projection? What's their
I,
path?
I love that.
Yeah,
question.
all of our people, almost every single manager we have, I think besides one manager that we have in our entire operation, it has started with us part-time and moved up.
Mhm.
And that is, I think, it shows our operations, I think, are simple and people can understand it. We had a kid that's worked with us since he was 16, and now he's 21 as our GM. And that's the person Tom was saying is going to franchise from us now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really started from, scrubbing dough trays to now running our busiest pizzeria that we have. We love from promoting from within. We think that's part of what kind of retains employees. They kind of buy into our culture, buy into our product. And that's definitely what we want for our franchisees as well.
And these days too, there's so many, let's say, kids out there, right? High school students who don't necessarily know what their future path is going to be.
Right.
Get college pushed at them and they're like, I don't know what I want to study. I don't know if I want to take on loads and loads of debt. And so we have kids that stay with us for a few years. Maybe they take some classes at community college to get some credits and figure out really what they want to study. And they go on, to a four-year university, or they say, you know what, I'm going to go out into the trades, or this is going to be my trade. And I'm going to learn important job skills and leadership
Right.
skills that they take with them through Cascadia or elsewhere. So it's a really cool opportunity for folks who, again, want to be involved in the community
Yeah.
and make a difference with their staff. I mean, I can't tell you how many stories we have. I could take up your whole podcast just talking about how many cool stories we have of people who have worked for us and gone out and just done the coolest things and have come back and said, I learned so much about life and working and all
Yeah.
kinds of things from my year or 2 years, whatever it may be at Cascadia. So it's a really fun part of what we get to do.
Wow. That's incredible. So obviously that, when you got employees that happy, that translates definitely to the customer experience. So they must be feeling it.
Yeah, you go and look at our reviews. The number one thing you're going to see is a great pizza, but right up next to it, in fact, it might even be number one, is incredible customer service. The employees love what they're doing, on and on and on.
Wow. That's great. And I talked a little bit about that, the P&D cube
Yeah.
philosophy. Start, how important is that? How does that work, I guess? What are you seeing results from that?
Well, we're just big believers that anytime you're going to give back to the community, it comes back to you tenfold. And so that really is the philosophy we've always had. And neighborhood pizzerias typically are always hit up for different sponsorships, baseball teams, all kinds of things. But we love that. That's what we're there to do. We're there to be a staple in the community. And so, right near our busiest location in Maple Valley on the corporate side, we have a food bank that's just down the street and a women's shelter.
Yeah.
And so when we do training for franchisee, they're making 1,000 people. And so we make them, box them up, and deliver them one day to the food.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one day to the women's shelter, another day to the police and fire stations. And so
Wow.
yeah, it's really, really fun.
Well, it started with so our franchisees, basically the plan is to make 100 pizzas a day for basically 10 days, 1,000 pizzas. We're like, well, what are you gonna do with these? That's just ridiculous just to throw them. It's good pizzas.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we got to figure out a way we can feed people. And so we brought it to the food bank, and what they actually have done is they've actually froze them. So we don't cut them. They freeze them and they give it out. And they said it was the
Perfect.
biggest hits they've ever had was they having the pizza, the small 10-inch pizzas for families. And there's a really big impact in that. We were like, that's incredible. For now on, all the training pies are all going to go to either the women's shelter or the food bank.
Yeah.
And it's just been incredible to kind of,
It's
not
amazing you figured that out because there is so much. My daughter used to work in a quick service, and I'm like, "What do you do with all that food?" And
Right.
she always wants to give it to the.
so.
Oh well,
For these families. The community just rallied behind him. It was just phenomenal.
It was the
Um,
busiest day in Cascadia history for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. And so all went to charity. Of course, we didn't take any royalties,
Yeah.
just all about
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That is fantastic.
And we really encourage our franchisees to be, to give back for sure. It's good. It's just good for the community, right? Your local business,
Hmm.
like, give back, and and in return, like Thomas said, you get business from it. But
Mhm.
but really, it's about giving back to communities and being just thankful for being able to do business there for sure, and the support level.
Yeah. How'd you come up with the name?
Well, the Cascade Mountain Range actually is a mountain range
Is that
from, a
what I
little in
wondered?
Canada down to, I think, Northern California.
Yeah.
So it's a regional mountain range
Okay.
area for sure.
That's what I figured. Okay. In terms of the investment, so how does that look with the dual approach or
It's so yeah, the numbers you'll see in the item 7 include food truck. So there's not a separate license for food truck territory. It's all combined. So that investment level includes food truck, brick and mortar, and really there's a range there, and part of that is just because the square footage can vary, and the low end of it is if it's a second generation restaurant that doesn't really take a whole lot of renovation.
okay. Good to know.
That's really the preferred model because it's just going to be so much easier. You don't have a ton of tenant improvements or construction you need to do. The higher end just really reflects if you were going to convert, let's say, like an office space into a restaurant or something like that.
Okay. When you're looking for space, is it it's obviously a smaller space. Does it need to be high end or is it just somewhere that there's just a ton of traffic? What's
High traffic is preferred. I mean, it doesn't have to be Class A space. That's obviously what we prefer, but
is it? Okay.
more expensive than others. And so I think in that, A to maybe down to a B, let's call it B plus range is totally great too. But it really depends on the demographics. You want a little bit of a higher income, area. People have disposable income to go out to eat. But what's great is pizza is a much more versatile food and you can feed a family on pizza a lot easier than you can going out to a, restaurant or getting takeout from a restaurant. So a space where there's a lot of families, space that's got a growing population, and high traffic really is what we're looking for.
Well, it's great.
Okay.
We're in bigger cities, 150,000 plus people. We're
Yeah.
also in towns of 10 to 12,000 people. So, like,
Right.
we're small.
It is an option for those.
We love the small. Some of our best pizzerias thrive in these smaller markets because we
Yeah.
can either be first, best, or both in that market, and then just kind of take over from the community from there. So we love it.
No, I mean, from my perspective, I've got, so you talk to candidates, so you're like, I don't have anything for you, but this is something that definitely would work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about the training, the Wood Fire University, I think I read about.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it's 4 weeks, but 2 weeks are basically online. So little
Okay.
classes, all back end marketing, how to run a business, basically. And then right now, it's about 2 weeks in person training. So it's 10 days, call it 10 working days.
Hmm.
And we go over classroom stuff in the morning, and then we hit pizza at night. So you'll see our different stores. You'll learn how to make pizza and just how to really want people to fall in love with our product. And it's not that the franchisee needs to come to the best pizzolo, in their company, but it's like, hey, just come know the basics so that you can train it or teach it. And then you just go through, you'll see our food trucks. So it's a really robust kind of wood fired, university training that we have for our franchisees.
Okay, great. And then when they're getting back, are they usually opening right about then, or when do you typically?
We try and schedule the wood fire to you as close to the grand opening as possible. And then we'll also provide on-site training a few days before the grand opening.
Yeah.
So we'll usually fly in like 3 days before. Our team will fly in 3 days before,
Okay.
train the staff, do a soft opening before the grand opening. So you kind of work out some of the kinks, get the systems down, and then stay for a day or two after. So you get that in-person training at the headquarters and then also on-site with your staff as well.
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit about ideal candidate, but what do you think will make someone truly successful in this business? So getting it loaded, I understand some of the, but going forward and down the road, how do you think someone will maintain that success?
That's a great question. I would say people who are just positive, happy, optimistic people that go out and are people. I mean, this is the hospitality industry, and so people who really care about people are really the folks who are most successful. That, they're out talking to folks in the grocery store, at their kid's baseball game or whatever, and just really, I think, being an advocate for the brand and the product, and just being involved in their community in some way. That's really the ideal candidate. And those are the people who just continue to build their business, day after day, year after year, and see that volume increase. So again, the food trucking is a huge component of that. And the food trucking stacks and builds on itself. So, your first year, you've got a few events. You kind of, figure out which ones are good events, which ones are bad. The good ones you put on your calendar for next year, the bad ones you cut.
Gotcha.
And then the reputation just keeps growing from there. So the word of mouth spread in the food truck community in particular for these big events and whatnot, it grows. I mean, if you put out a good quality product and have great customer service, that's not really the norm from food trucks these days. There's a lot of them out there. So when you've got a really great product and a really great, organized system, people recognize that and they want you back. So that really is the best way to build the business, and it just continues to grow on itself. Where now on the corporate side, we've been in business 10 years on the food truck side, 6 years on the brick and mortar, and our food truck business on the corporate side, we're doing 150 weddings every summer. We're at I can't tell you how many public paid events. And it all has just really grown from word of mouth. And so now that's what our franchisees a couple years in are starting to emulate and see that same growth in their stores as well.
We always say, hey, we're in the people business. We just so happen to be making pizza. And so, echo Tom, it's like just someone who loves their community, someone who, is involved in their church or what have you, someone that wants to go out and build a business. Really, it's about all who you know, and just spreading the good word of pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you foresee them owning multiple trucks?
That's possible. Yeah. So, like let's say our franchisees that just signed in Phoenix, they bought a 3-territory deal. They can operate all 3 territories with one truck. And then as their business grows, if they are, turning away a whole lot of events because they're booked up with that one truck.
Yeah. Okay.
A second one. There's no additional cost to do that, in terms of licensing, franchise fee, whatever. So you're really just buying the territory rights, and you can service it with as few or as many trucks as you need to.
So yeah, I was just kind of curious what that trigger was, but obviously it makes sense if you're starting to turn away a lot of business. Yeah. And I guess if someone else, people are out there thinking, I don't know if this is for me. What would you say? What kind of the overall who you want and how you want to leave a message with them to be interested in looking at Cascadia?
I would say for folks who want to be in business for themselves but not by themselves, this is a fun opportunity. This isn't mold remediation or,
pizza is sexy, we say.
Yeah, it is. And it's a lot of fun. So if you want to add a lot of fun to your life and have a great cash flow business opportunity that is, going to build generational wealth for your family. Your kids can get involved in as well. Especially if you've got some high school age kids, this is a perfect opportunity for them, not just to go, work at McDonald's, but come work in a
family business.
So those are really the folks we're looking for. People who like their community, want to be involved, want to be in business for themselves, but want some support behind them. I'll tell you, we have radical franchisees. We will be there every step of the way to hold your hand and make sure that you're as successful as you can.
No shade to the great, businesses, franchises out there, but nobody really cares who owns the great gutter company, right? If you have the hottest pizzeria in town,
yeah, it's true.
My gosh. Yeah. Sorry. That's funny. Sorry. Well, yeah, no, I appreciate your time. Any other words of encouragement or thoughts or anything more you want to share?
Honestly, like the gift of entrepreneurship. I'm just so excited to talk to people that want to be in business. And I just encourage, I know you guys already have in the franchisees in your networks and trying to sell more business, but like we have a lot of fun we're doing. We're very serious about what we do. We have radical support for franchisees, and we're young and we're hungry, and we want to see people be successful. We want to see people, that are taking a big leap of faith to go with us to be, have a huge financial return. And that's definitely possible. And just want excited people to join our network is really. Yeah. So we're just excited to thank you. And thank you for having us on your podcast.
Oh, no, I appreciate it, Christian and Tom. This is fantastic. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to learning more about it.
Clip that the pizza sexy thing for us. Okay.
Yeah.
That is going to definitely be one of my LinkedIn posts. All right. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks, Laura.
That's a wrap for this episode of Franchise Focus. I hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you're thinking about franchise ownership or want to learn more about the brands we discuss, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit my website at blackmorefranchiseconsulting.com or just leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share it with someone. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Franchise Focus.